much for joining this episode of CT Tech Talks with CallTower. But today we have a special guest. We have our partner Five9 on with us. So excited to have them joining us. We have Maurice here. Hey, Maurice, can you introduce yourself for the partners and those listening?
Absolutely, Madison. Maurice Da Silva here. I am with Five9. I'm the VP of Sales for Canada as well as the country lead. Great to be
Awesome.
on.
And we're really excited to have you. And if you haven't been following the Call Tower news to our partners, well, we had a recent acquisition of Honoria. They are in Canada, and Five9 has been our partner for many years, and they have so many different capabilities. There's an audience out there that we're reaching in the Canadian market. So we really wanted to bring on Maurice to kind of touch base about the CCaaS market in Canada and get a quick snapshot of, what's going on out there, regulatory considerations, what's unique to the region. So if you as a partner, if you're listening, we can help you. The Five9 Call Tower partnership can help you in the Canadian market if you have some customers there. So first off, Maurice, can you give us, a quick snapshot of the CCaaS market in Canada?
Absolutely. So, we share a lot of similarities with the US market. I would say overall, Canadians, as it relates to cloud adoption, have in many areas lagged US adoption. Interestingly enough, what I think we're going to see is a bit of a leapfrog with the adoption of AI. So, what we are seeing, post COVID, there was a large movement to, be ready for whatever came next, enable remote workforce, et cetera. So a lot of Canadian organizations were shifting from premises-based to cloud, just looking at that analysis, the changes that need to be made organizationally, et cetera. And while this was all going on, we had a flash flood of Gen AI over all of us, right? With obviously the release of ChatGPT, and of course all of the tools that surround that. So what we find now within the space, huge total addressable market. Majority of the market is still sitting on premises technology today. Many of that is past life, even for a number of customers or approaching that. We've also got customers who are in hosted type environments, and they all want to switch to cloud. So we've seen that growth within the Canadian market over the past 3 years. We've seen 65% growth in our client base. So massive success in region. Hats off to the team. But I think Canadian consumers, customers, whether public sector or private sector, are now ready to adopt cloud. And like I said, the interesting thing is they're not just shifting from cloud, they're introducing elements of Gen AI into their whether it's automating, or I would say most of the focus today is on supersizing agent power. So really using that AI technology to help agents. So we've worked obviously with our portfolio, massive focus on that with our Genius Suite. So yeah, we've seen tremendous success in region, and a lot of growth. So, and a lot more growth to
Yeah.
come.
Absolutely. And we've done a few recent events with you guys over in Canada, and we've seen some traction there. Just hearing from you, that there are quite a few people that are still on-prem, or, they're reaching end of life. It sounds like there's a lot of opportunity there. So, for partners listening, how can they dive into that, and what do they need to know, including some regulatory considerations that are unique to the region that might not, be front of mind when diving into an opportunity in the Canadian market.
Absolutely. I think the verticals that you go after all have their own individual elements. You look at retail as an example, tends to be the most flexible as it relates to regulatory. There are PCI type elements that come into play that are, happen across North America seamlessly. So the nice thing about the cloud solution that we have in place today with our offering, whether it's the Gen AI elements or just the core functionality that we do to provide that global platform, we carry all of those regulatory elements, and whether it's PCI or any of those industry standards. But more importantly, what we're starting to see is a massive focus, and it's not just Canada. We're seeing this all over on privacy. So a lot of Canadian provinces are instituting their own privacy and compliance, laws, if you would, as it relates to how that's managed. Obviously, we have things such as PIPEDA here, et cetera. For us, the nice thing is we are committed to satisfying all of those requirements. So we don't just talk it; we memorialize it within our contracts as well too. So our legal teams, our global compliance teams have looked at all of those elements, and we've built that, whether it's ISO or otherwise, into that standard. And then obviously we have the French element. It's very different within the Canadian region. So, and there are laws, et cetera, around language and the requirements there too. So, our platform provides that French capability. We work with partners. You mentioned Inoria as an example. So, huge footprint in the province of Quebec. We have sellers all over the country that work with our partners. So, I would say those regulatory elements are definitely items that pop up, as well as, just data staying in region. So data sovereignty, that's always been a concern, but I think as privacy pops up, so the fact that we have our data centers in Canada, that all of our data stays in Canada, that really resonates well with the customers, large and small, within the region.
Yeah, and you talked about security and data compliance, things like that, a big thing, and you touched on it earlier. The impact of AI and automation when it comes to contact centers, customer experience. What's been the impact of AI solutions like IVAs and chatbots in that region for folks?
So massive adoption there. I think the key as it relates to security and managing data sets is our focus has always been on not scouring the entire internet. We've built our solutions around things that we provide, as well as partnering with best of breed known providers of some of those Gen AI elements. And we really work closely with customers to make sure that we focus on outcomes. So we're not looking to just provide a flashy agent assist or some other element there. There's always an outcome behind all of the things that we build. And as a result of that, as we go through and build those elements, we really focus the search and the data that those tools dig into to be specifically related to that customer and the data sets they have. So controlling the data sets allows you to control the outcome, and it eliminates things that we've seen in the past. I know many companies dove into this really quick, and you've had hallucinations, you've had incorrect information pass through. So that's something that we've slow rolled some of those elements over the past 12 months to make sure that we did it right. And that's what our customers are experiencing today. We don't have those giving away free things by mistake or whatever else by controlling the data set that these tools act upon. So.
Yeah, and that's obviously, having that being specific in that data set, is only improving the automation and agent efficiency and customer satisfaction. And actually, we talked about it, our partnership with Honoria, they actually also have their own Gen AI, and it's great to hear from partners that, we're to see the Call Tower partnerships growing. Our Five9 partnership has been going on for so long. Now bringing in Honoria, keep reaching that, a broader audience in different countries, the global connection. What can you talk about, what this new acquisition means for the partnership? How does it only, increase our capabilities and expand our partnership together?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we loved about this partnership was just Inoria has such a massive center of excellence as it relates to contact center. So they're experts in the field. They've been doing it for years. It's a great team over there. Because they bring that expertise to bear, because they bring some of their own tool sets into the equation. Just to take a step back, when we look at our fabric for AI, we obviously supply a lot of the elements and can supply a lot of the elements. But when we built this platform, we wanted it to act as connective tissue. So when you look at our A platform, you look at workflow management, we've built a lot of standardized connections into other tools. We've built the couplers that allow those interfaces to work together. So the nice thing is we can bring all of those elements together across numerous different AI strategies and platforms, including customers, because some customers have made very specific investments in AI related to the field they're in, or our partners who develop and have constructed something that they know adds great value for their customer set. So for us, being able to bring it all together and not walking someone in to a one size fits all for us, that's the exciting part about this relationship. Obviously, their experience in Canada, their experience, with the French capability, all those pieces all fit together. But they are definitely one of our strongest partners coming into this as it relates to just contact center depth and experience within the Canadian market. So for us, that just unlocks more and more potential as it relates to what we can do. We don't, we do a subset of things. They bring to bear a lot of complementary offerings that really, add that total value for the overall customer.
Absolutely. And last question for you. What do you see, how do you expect the Canadian market to grow in 2025? What do you expect to see overall?
Yeah, we are seeing, when you look at our portfolio, and I think everyone would say the same thing, the biggest areas of adoption are within that Gen AI space. So when you look at not just self-servicing customers, and as I mentioned, enabling, the representatives, within the centers to act smarter, act better, provide better answers, take away mundane tasks. The other evolution is just the analytics around reporting itself, being able to digest what's happening within these interactions real time, showing that information to the various groups at a level that they need by department, and then allowing us to work with them to operationalize the action. So instead of seeing something, looking at a report, maybe a few days later, then acting on it weeks later, this information's near real time in terms
Yeah.
of what's coming through, which is great for organizations that release a new offer, that suddenly have an issue with a product, that or are looking at other elements that are happening. That there could be an external event that's impacting that. So it speeds up, enabling better customer experience, problem resolution, but also I think one thing we tend to overlook is agent experience or the employee experience, right? By giving them access to these tools, by making their lives easier, you make it a more enjoyable environment for the agents, and you expose them to new tools, right? So
Yeah. And I think, that's not just specific to the Canadian market. I think in the North America market too, when I'm sitting in on some sales calls with some partners, one of the big things, the buzzword in 2024 was AI, but I think the buzzword right now is data analytics. People want to get that data. So that is a very similar here in the region. Well, Maurice, is there anything else you want to add that we didn't touch on?
I think we hit on a lot today. It's just
Yeah.
for those who are looking at working within the Canadian market. We've got a lot of team members who bring a lot of depth to that. We've got some great partnerships in region. I think the one thing that we love, the Canadian market is definitely not as large as the U.S. market. The nice thing as it relates to Five9 and all of the offerings we spoke to today is whether you're a 20 seat center or a 20,000 seat center, you don't have to choose between that capability. There is no small, medium, large platform. There's one platform, one focus, and that allows us to, in a market such as Canada, which can tend to be more mid-market focused as it relates to kind of the overall offering, it really changes the dynamic as it relates to, being able to offer some of these organizations some, high-level enterprise offerings at a very feasible commercial point. So.
Absolutely. Well, if you guys enjoyed this podcast and you wanted to learn more about the Call Tower and Five9 relationship, or you have a customer in the Canadian market, you can connect with us in the details for this video and podcast description. And Maurice, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciated it.
No, it was a great time. Thank you, Madison, as well.
Thanks so much. And thanks everyone for joining.